So this is a Blackstar Artisan 30. Now, I knew it was used. I knew it wasn't in very good shape. But I had it delivered to my local guitar center. They opened the box. This is what the back looked like. So the store I got it from evidently didn't pack it too well. They left the tubes in place, and the rectifier tube is just a shambles of glass. I do gotta say, the guys at my local guitar center are pretty cool. What I did is I asked them, hey, can you open the box and throw all the packing materials away here before I leave the store? And they're like, sure, yeah, we'll throw that in the dumpster. So when they opened the box, the bottom 3 screws were loose and the amp was half leaning out of the cabinet. And as soon as they lifted the amp out, they heard glass moving around in there. So you probably can't tell, but right here is where the GZ34 rectifier tube goes. It's probably still in there, but there's glass laying down inside the in the box. So the guys were gracious enough to say, hey, we're gonna give you a replacement rectifier tube, but of course they didn't have any in stock, so they just gave me a refund to my credit card. So before I haul this out, I'm gonna unscrew the amp. I got a great deal on it, and these new were almost $3 grand, so I thought this will be a good amp to try to rebuild. This is gonna be a trick because this thing weighs like 70 pounds. Can I? Yeah, that's better. Ooh, does not look good. Yep, it broke the wood clean out. Man. The amp is out. Nope. The tube is, they must have pulled the socket out for me. So I'm gonna lay this on the bench and vacuum all the glass shards out of this. So here's the amp out, laying on the bench. That's not good. But are the components okay? The transformers are okay. That's good. Choke's okay. It's the front panel. It's dirty. I got a feeling they just didn't pack it in the box very well, and the UPS driver was probably throwing that big 70-pound box around. And this is kind of a dumb design that the amp is mounted to just a half-inch piece of, is that plywood? I don't know, we'll see. And then screwed to the back of the frame. Kind of a dumb design, yep. So since the screws are half out, I might as well take them all the way out. Ooh, that one's bent. I'm excited to see this. These are hand-wired amps. Is it really hand-wired? We'll see here in a second. It better be, or I'm gonna be one mad dude. Oh yes, there's the money shot. This is why I bought this amp. It is a hand-wired amp for 500 bucks. Even if it's in fair condition, the chassis is awesome shape, decent components inside, and yep, hand-wired. Yes, this is what I wanted. So, I mean, it'd be nice to have a good cabinet that wasn't destroyed, but that's woodwork, easy enough to fix. Ooh, that's nice shielding. Okay, I'll do a little cleaning and be back. Well, yeah, I think this amp's supposed to come with 2 vintage 30s. So it looks like somebody swapped one of the 30s out for a GT 75. These are about 170 bucks. These are about 150, so I'm not too mad about that. Looking at the solder connections, that looks factory. That looks like somebody did that, but at least they kept the winding on the speaker wire nice, I guess. This is gonna be a problem. I'm gonna peel back the tolex and try to glue that up. I'm gonna probably modify this cabinet so it's just a head, and I'll put these speakers in a separate 212 because man, this thing is heavy. But let's see if the speakers are good. I hope they survive the crash. Yep. 6.7 ohms or 8 ohms, so the voice coils are good in both of them. They're in parallel. Oh, wow. Man, that took a hard hit. It even chipped the magnet. Oh, that just adds character. Well, I'm going to continue to tear this down. There's still glass shards, you dummy. I'm a bigger klutz than they were. Oh yeah, there's still glass everywhere in it. Well, driver's in like brand new shape. Fantastic. Wish you could say much more for the grill. Damn it. And generally, the reason I film this is not for narcissism, but so I can reverse and build it when it comes time to reassemble. So much faster to tear stuff down than to put it together, eh? Please be a good driver. Yes, like new. Fantastic. Good deal. Take the baffle board out, I guess. You think that was factory done? Or some knucklehead just chipped that out to get these to fit? What a mess. Looks like it's been through a hurricane. Yeah, this is too boring to watch. Okay, I got all the baffle screws out. Let's see what it looks like behind here. Okay, now I got that last screw out. That's what she said. Oh, before she went into the nunnery. Let's see how. Now that's heavy. That's a heavy plate. Yeah. And how's it? Yeah, normal. Normal staples. I might be able to reuse that beading. Yep, there's just glass everywhere. Man. So, it does appear to be made out of decent plywood. It is a pretty sturdy cabinet, and it's square, so I will try to glue that back down. What sucks, these appear to be aftermarket. So what I normally do is cut the cabinet right here and then use the bottom to make a head. But now I got these big gaping holes in them. So I'm gonna have to plug those if I choose to do that. Is it worth the hassle or just buy a new cabinet? Of course, you know, they're not supposed to be dropped by a UPS driver either. I gotta say, the build quality is pretty good. If this was in good condition, you know, these vents, they're not the cheapy plastic Vox vents, they're real metal. Fantastic. Unfortunately, it ripped the tolex right here. I was able to peel the other stuff back, but you can see just plywood tacked in and glued. I've never seen it break at the glue joint so nicely. That's what happens when you try to glue end grain, I guess. The other flange on that side is loose too, so should I put 2 new struts in? Yeah, I don't know. So I'm getting ready to section this cabinet. What I'm gonna do is keep the top 6 inches and the bottom 6 inches and cut this middle, I don't know, foot out. And then I'll glue it from here to make a head. Real simple. I measured, squared it all up. What I'm gonna do now is cut the tolex right here and peel it back so that I have extra tolex that can hide the seam. If I can't hide the seam, I'll end up, you know, taking a rabbiting bit, maybe put an 1/8 inch divot in here and fill it with string piping or something like that. So I'm gonna cut this apart and I'll show you what I end up with. Well, I thought I was gonna cut it here, fold it back to give me some spare tolex, but this stuff is pretty soft and it stretches, so even if I did pull it back, it's gonna stretch and I won't be able to reuse it. So I'm just gonna zip these 2 lines and glue the cabinet back together. It dawned on me, you probably want to see this. So I've already cut the top 6 inches out. I'll show you this when I'm done. So the top of the amp is cut apart. Now I'm going to go for the bottom 6. This is a sled, and then I've got a sacrificial strip over here that keeps the whole cabinet, you know, square. And then I just push it up against the fence and pray I don't get kicked back. So let's see. So it started to pinch the blade, which is not good, so I'll back it up and try again. So hopefully that's a square cut. And then I'll just take a planer and make sure it's totally square. So I'll be back. Well, so here's what the head case is going to look like. Head case. It doesn't look too bad. I'm just going to try to get it as square as I can, because I might re-tolex it in the future. I don't know. Sometimes I like the amp to have character, and the amp bolts to this piece of wood, and then this piece of wood's held in here. And so I still have a little gap down here where I can get the, you know, plug it in and stuff like that. Maybe I'll cut this down a little bit. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So, you know, I kind of engineer as I go. But what I wanted to do, I left my tape measure over there. Hold on. Yeah, like what I was saying, what I was wanting to do is make the cabinet exactly 12 inches tall. She's 12 inches there. Can you see it from this side? 12 inches tall, on the money. So yep, it's square. And I'll just put caulk and paint on it, because, you know, caulk and paint made it what it ain't. Tool Shop Biscuit Joiner. One of my favorite tools. This is from Big Lots. No, not Big Lots. Hobo Freight. Hobo Freight. It does the job. It's not totally accurate, but it does the job. These are called biscuits. And so I mark, you know, center lines at 2, 5, and 8 inches, always from the same side of the cabinet. And then I'm going to divot, you know, biscuit cut into the wood. Then these biscuits, they'll sit right in that center of that 3/4 inch, and they're kind of like a tongue, like on the old, what were those Hot Wheels tracks? You know, with the 1 inch wide tracks that were made out of vinyl, and you could just whip the crap out of your friends with it. Yep, that's what biscuit joiners remind me of. So the trick to biscuit joining is using this fence. You want to have the fence tight, and when you plunge cut it, you want to make sure you got it dead center on that line, and you want it flush so that it cuts, you know, it cuts all the biscuits in parallel with the surface of the wood. So I'll turn it on. Uh-oh. I hate the switches on this cheap Chinese shit. Get it centered on the line and nice and flush. Nice hole. And rather than subject you to that insanely obnoxious racket, I'll just do the other 9 by myself. So it's their biscuit joined, and this is how this works. See, these biscuits, they fit pretty tight, and they help center it when you sandwich this together. And once that's glued up and dries, this thing will survive an explosion. Those glue joints are stronger than the wood is. So I'm getting ready to glue it up. Let's go get my clamps ready and my glue and a little thing of soapy water and a towel and a beer. Well, so I've test fit everything. I got my clamps out. I got my support boards out for the clamps, my glue, my wet dish rag, my bucket of water, and my foam brush. Let's make a mess like kids. Go. So I paint the glue on. Now, the trick is get as little squeeze out as possible, but too much is better than not enough, always. You can always wipe it up. The glue. Now, you don't want Germans. Maybe French. We're going to glue that wood. I'm putting it at the wood glue. I'm getting it nice and rubbing it down with these sticky juice. Man, you're getting a little sloppy.
Yeah, that's way too much. Perfect. Wiggly's cool too because it's got a lot of setup time. I like to make sure every surface is painted good. That's probably too much. We'll see when I drop these biscuits in if it was too much.
Doing good. So far I don't have it all over my forehead and my teeth.
I'm doing well. That's what she said.
Yeah, jubilar the glue. Everything else, your face.
What happens if I put the biscuit in? Yep, perfect. Squeeze out.
Way too much. Perfect. Okay, moment of truth. So I'm going to wipe up real quick to squeeze out. Perfect. Perfect. Oh yeah. Perfect. Okay. So I'll just wipe the squeeze out up and torque a little bit more, make sure it's on the center, blah, blah, blah. I'll be back. I've got this lined up as flush as I can. Of course, the cabinet's not completely, totally square, and by me cutting it totally square, I'm gonna find the errors in the original build. But then I just tighten it down till I just see some squeeze out. Yep, there it comes. And then stop, because you don't want the wood to start doing this. Think of it like you're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You don't want to push the bread down too much and squirt all the jelly out the side, right? Or peanut butter, whatever you like better. And then stop there and wipe it off. And then we'll let her cook for at least a half hour, probably overnight. I'll start working on engineering some more of this panel. I've got to cut some more supports here and glue those in. Well, so the glue is set up on the mid seams, and I had to glue in a new support that got ripped out. So I got, two 3/4 inch pieces of frames. This will be the back of the amp. This will be the front. So you're saying, well, what are you going to do with the front? Well, I'm going to cut down the speaker grill. So I just got done disassembling it. So the logo just has these little pins in it that are glued in. I got lucky and peeled those out with a chisel. Here's the grill and the speaker baffle. So I'm going to cut the speaker baffle down so it fits in that front opening. I'm going to try to do the mathemagicals. I'm going to section it again here. so that I have two little oval vents. So then air can go in the front and out the top, because that thing gets hot. Well, so there's the speaker baffle, and I sectioned it, and I think I did the math right. So I cut the center of it out. And now this should fit the front panel. Let's see if she fits. Right, glue them together. Oh, yes. Yep, that'll work fine. So, the shell's done. I'm gonna start cleaning it now, but the front baffle I cut down. The longest part of this job was pulling this grill cover and the piping off the other 2x12 combo and pulling all the staples out. Once I got all the staples out, I think I showed that already. I cut this thing down and then, you know, clean the grill cloth, put it back on, repiped it. In the back here, let's turn it over so it makes sense. You can see it's on, not screwed in yet. The original problem with this amp is the amp plate screws in right here, and it tore this corner completely out. So there's two new 3/4 inch struts in here on each side, glued. I had to let it dry overnight. And then I took my spare tolex and re-wrapped it. It doesn't look great, but I could make this amp look brand new if I re-tolexed it. But I kind of want it to look used because I think it was built maybe, I don't know, we'll have to look at the stamp, 2007, 2008 maybe. But here's the sections that are cut out. And the section for the big back panel that I cut out, that's what I used to pull this tolex off of, and I re-glued it down. So now we're gonna clean it and start the assembly process. I'm gonna clean this pretty good. I try to use the least aggressive cleaner possible, but this amp is filthy. So what I'm gonna use, what is it? Simply Green. I bought a big jug of it and I put it in these little spray bottles. So I'm just gonna spray this and scrub it a little bit. Well, let's spray it. Don't go crazy, right? So I'm gonna clean this thing now all the paint and the glue's dry, and we'll be back. Here's a cool trick that was insane when I first heard it. To clean metal, right? Squirt a little WD-40 on a rag. Now watch how clean this shiny and clean it gets. Wow, that's awesome. And try to stay off of anything, you know, the tolex or anything, because it is oil. Wow, I'm amazed how well that works. Cool. Well, it's assembly time. Everything's dry from cleaning it, and I've separated my fasteners out into like for like piles, I guess, because I can't remember where these Forstners go now. The amp's been apart for too long. If I did this right, the pre-drilled holes should match. If I cut this down right. Yep. God, I hate when I hear the bit bounce. So I'm gonna put all of these in to hold the grill. I'll be back. Don't crank stuff down, fellers, just get it tight. That's what she said. So for the vents on the top, they were in pretty good shape, but I put a skim coat on them. That's the back, that's the front. So they do look like new. So hopefully these go on with less of a hassle, and they're much smaller screws. So this amp came with these insert casters. You know, these are the plates. Go in here. I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall them. If I was gonna do this to resell it, I would, you know, I would have made a new bottom plate and not had those holes, or maybe I would have even plugged them. But I'm not gonna do that. I like it because it reminds me of the history of this amp, and I want it to look a little old and used. And I'm using the clutch. so I don't over torque these. It's not set very tight. And they did use nice hardware. They got these trim rings that are solid. They're not cups, they're solid. I don't understand this amp because all the hardware on the back was nice and heavy duty, but the hardware holding the panel on the front, man, those are the cheapest, crappiest soft screws I've ever seen. That's what she said. I gotta quit. That's not funny, is it? That's what she said shit. Yeah. It's only funny if you way overuse it. That's what maybe I should just do that all the time. Finish torquing them just a little bit. And I get a sense of how tight it is. Wow, that's nice. So now, this is a behemoth, that's for sure. There is enough room here to, you know, get my plugs and stuff in. We should verify that. But now you can see these screw holes here. So all I did was cut the bottom panel apart, and I'm gonna put this trim ring here. And yeah, does that look factory? It might look factory. Can I still get my hand here? Yep. There's the AC, and there's the speaker jacks. The only thing that sucks, you know, if you gotta change impedance and stuff, you gotta tilt the amp over and look. But it's, you know, it's really simple, and I'm always gonna use 8 ohms. And there's nothing else you can do unless I would have made the cabinet taller. And I don't want a super tall cabinet. So I'm gonna finish putting it together, and then one last trick, and I'll show you the final results. Well, here she is, all assembled. Looks pretty good. Can you see the seam right there? Obviously, these strips are, and they're not long enough to go all the way around. But after I held that up, I don't think that would look good anyway. And I kind of like that seam because it reminds me of the time I spent cutting this cabinet down. In order to finish sanding this, I burnish it with this. Just to make, to take all the fuzzy edges off and give it an even worn look. And now, this stuff is fantastic for making tolex look good. So I put a dollop here and a dollop here. Screw it back in because you're going to get it everywhere. It's Meguiar's interior leather cleaner, rich leather cleaner, and it does look good. So I'll do a little corner here. Yes, you can tell. Right here is where I stopped. So it does bring the color back, it cleans it, and it makes it look good. So I'm gonna wipe the whole amp down, and we'll come back for one final look. Yep, so there's the Blackstar Artisan 30 combo, cut down to a head. She's done. It came out pretty good. You can tell it's an older amp, but still pretty good shape. I wished I'd done a better job on the piping. I might do that, but I got some other mods planned for this amp, namely rebiasing. I'm gonna bias it much cooler. The back came out really good. Looks like a factory on the back. I think it did a pretty good job. It looked like a pro modified it, so yeah, cool. I got a pretty cool head. I got it cheap, and I'm developing a bad habit. This was a JCA 50 combo. It was in a flood, so the bottom end of this cabinet was destroyed. But I modded it the same way. When I got done, I re-tolex the head. And I'm in the middle of doing the head first mods. Check out that guy's YouTube channel. This has the Soldano Slow bias mod with the 10K bias in the 4th preamp. Then the 30K to turn it into a Marshall. And then I also got a total bypass where it's running wide open. It's a gain monster at that point, but the low end gets mushy. I like the Marshall bias on it, but the Soldano sounds good. The back of this amp looks like it was made factory that way too. So, and yep, PV6505 Plus, which is a 5150. This was a combo cabinet too. Those real goofy, real tall single 12 cabinets. You can see the seam here. I just wanted a high gain head and I got this cheap. It was blown up, it didn't work, but it's fixed. Yep. So yeah, if you're handy with woodworking tools and you don't mind cutting cabinets apart, it's not too hard. It takes some time to cut a combo cab down and make it look good. Re-tolexing, man, that's a nightmare. Guys that do that, that's a real skill I wish I was better at. But yep, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it was long-winded, but sometimes long-winded's good. And there'll be more to come on this amp. And I got a Vox sitting over there I'm going to shoot this amp out against. These are set up kind of like a matchless DC30 and a Vox. I'm going to get both circuit diagrams and, you know, modify this amp to give me the best of what I like of both of those amps. Namely, probably a little bit more gain, probably a little less high end, but we'll see. That's all. Hope you enjoyed the video. Be good to each other. Peace out.